Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. How is everybody doing tonight? Did you all get a chance to watch Mr. T and wish him a happy birthday at Mar-a-Lago? He gave another speech, and uh, I watched it, and yeah, he said some interesting things. I was hoping he would bring up the notion of getting rid of the income tax, but that's always been on the table. I'm going to venture to say I've talked about it in the past, and we'll talk about it some more tonight. But he did bring up tips again, and that's going to be whetting everybody's appetite is what that's doing, just whetting everybody's appetite. People start thinking, well, if everybody gets their tips and they don't have to pay taxes, well, what about me? When I get paid? Yeah, so that's always been in the cards, but it was too soon to bring it up back in 2016. We had an election to win, and the big picture could be painted afterwards, which is what's being done now. So how you doing, Pappy Two Bears? Diane, nice to see you. KNS Cleanup. Yeah, he gave an awesome speech. How you doing, Roland? On with the show. This is it. How you like my thumbnail? I don't know if you all know who's on the thumbnail. If you get a chance, dip out and take a look at that. Melanie, Melinda, how you doing? Angela, Sandy, Sherry, Gloria, everybody's rolling in. That's good to see. But man, you know, I'm going to talk a little bit about this Disney stuff. I'm not so focused on this particular Star Wars iteration as much as I am on the cultural and financial impact and the precedents that are going to be set, legal precedents, and I'll get into that later on in the conversation. Disney is being sued by a former actress for a Star Wars show who was unjustly fired. At the same time, think of this. How much money did it get out of Alex Jones? Because people were saying they were slandered or treated unjustly. Look how much money they're trying to get out of Rudy Giuliani. Hundreds of millions. In Alex Jones's case, it's $1 billion. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And this situation, in the past, I have talked about how there were corporate investigators that had gone in to Lucas Studios and gone through emails, expenses, expenditures, bank drafts, everything, because there was some alarm bells going off about money laundering, okay? And so we're going to talk about it. And it's coming to a head on this particular offering that they put out by this person, Leslie Headland, who was, as is being repeated thousands of times on Utizzle, as being a personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein, and also an associate director, advisor, whatever, Dave Filoni. His wife is who is on my thumbnail, who claims she's a witch or was a witch till she married Dave. But anyway, these are the people that are making decisions about entertainment for our children. These are the people making decisions on a multi-billion-dollar company like Disney and affiliated assets of Disney. And this situation has bombed so bad. Disney stock has fallen under $100 a share for the first time in since God knows when. And it is a disaster. And it's going to get looked into. Let me see who's here. Oh, my chat's froze up. Whoa. Here now they're rolling. Hi, Wanda. How you doing? Hi, Wayne. Aracellus. How you doing? Oh, you couldn't watch anything? Papituya Bears will rest up. I hope your eye gets better. I certainly do. Yeah, Biden was an embarrassment, Diane. Trump pointed it out. Everybody's pointing it out. Wanda's here. Yvonne's here. Let's see. Hi, Debbie. Two Debbies. Joy, nice to see you. Roberto. Oh. Trudeau. Yeah, well, I was watching a program where apparently, Roland, for years, I didn't know this, the Canadian government just take your taxes out of your bank account. You know, you don't write the check, they just do it. So you don't have any financial freedoms at all. Well, that's what this repealing, I think it's the 16th Amendment, I have to look it up, but about taxing people on their personal income, the sweat off their brow, they can take all of it if they want to. That's contrary to the foundations of the Constitution itself. It's got to go. It's got to go. So, Ronald, how you doing? If I missed anybody, I do apologize. And if y'all think about it, hit the thumbs up. It helps the video to get around. So at the risk of sounding cuckoo, I think it was around 7 p.m., 7:18 and 7:20 p.m. Eastern time was on RSBN News when Trump was giving his speech. He said Joe Biden were using Air Force One, Air Force Two, whatever they were wanting to use, like a taxi cab back and forth to Europe. Did you catch that? He said something, and maybe it was because of his situation was in the back of his mind. But make a note of this and check it out later on. See if I'm a crazy person. But if you go to 7:20 or somewhere around there, 7:18, 19, he says something like, well, they just go back and forth and use it like a shuttle, use it like a taxi cab. It costs us millions and millions of dollars. He said they go over there, sit at trial, and then come back the next day or the same day. He only said it once, and I had to play it back a couple of times and listen to it. And I said, and what am I, crazy? Thinking what I'm thinking? But you all check it out and tell me if I'm wrong. His speech tonight, his birthday speech around that time. See if he didn't say that about Joe and Jill. They go up and sit all day at a trial, and then they come back over and over again. I didn't know that. Jet lag, how are you? Tennessee, how are you? So I could be wrong. Maybe I misheard it, you know. But we all know something's going on in this big old world, don't we? You know, how many of you all listen to Scott Adams when he has his little coffee talk? I'm bringing him up for a reason. Reason being, he's got to get another computer. And he said it today, that they are infiltrating, getting in his computer and screwing things up. I talked about the other day how I had a backup phone on a kind of a clandestine email. Within 48 hours after that email got put out, unfortunately to the wrong people, the phone just self-destructed. I'm not kidding you. I'm going to take a screenshot of it. What the screen is displaying. What happened in my hands. Went to where the screen says I have to do a hard reset. Wipe out everything to the factory settings. Or re-upload stuff. But it won't let me. It won't let me. The only choice I have, if I hit the wrong buttons, is wipe the phone and go right to factory, reset all my memes, a clandestine Telegram account, a clandestine X account, and a lot of stuff that I stored in there that I just didn't want anybody to know what I was doing. So, yeah, you have to be careful. And it takes a long time to get something like that. A long time to build something like that where it's under the radar. Redhausen, how you doing? So anyway, Scott Adams was saying, and he's been saying it for the past week, that because of his content, because of the things he discusses, that his computer's being disabled at certain times in certain ways. And he's trying to get a new computer. Lone Wolf, how you doing? Jetlag said they did that to me. They ruined one phone, 2 computers. That's right. And I was just getting ready to take. I told you all about that new computer. I was just getting ready to get that thing going under the same separate account that was Secret Squirrel. Plus, I had another YouTube channel. And that's gone. If I can't, I'm looking up ways what I can do to try to restore the phone. Look at this. Oh, joy. Just to show y'all we're not crazy. I had my phone, this phone, and who knows when this one's going to go. I had an article that said Chris Miller says he was threatened. And I said, oh, I got to read this article to everybody. Gone. Taken it on my phone. I didn't delete it. I know daggone good and well I didn't. Who's Chris Miller? Former Secretary of Defense, acting Secretary of Defense, last months of Trump's administration during the January situation, 2021 situation. So it disappeared from my phone. That's a big story. Who, and it was from a credible outlet, but not a major news outlet. When in this nation's history would you have a former Secretary of Defense saying they felt threatened by any entity and it not be big news? No, well, Ian, I can do that till blue in the face, my eyeballs fall in my head. If the device in the account that I'm using is destroyed and disabled, and I only have to rely on accounts that they can zero right in on my personal physical body, I don't care where I put it. The point is to be under the radar. Hi, Gary. How you doing? He may be, Roland. He may be. Hi, Bubba. So we got a lot of people in chats that have suffered the same situation. I have suffered the same situation. Scott Adams, he's the creator of the cartoon Gilbert, in case anybody doesn't know. I wasn't that familiar with him, but I listen to him sometimes. So anyway, here we are dealing with these problems. And then I hear that little maybe he misspoke when he said Joe and Jill will go back and forth to Europe for a trial, to sit at a trial and come back, costing us millions, treating Air Force One like a. I thought Biden hadn't gone to Europe in a long time. On my thumbnail, I got a picture of him touching foreheads with the Pope. The Pope's sitting in a chair, Biden standing above him and leans down, puts his forehead on the Pope's forehead. I was going to just put that picture on my thumbnail with a quote under the Pope saying, "Now you got me scared." And Joe saying, "Sorry about the last time I was here," when he lost his bowels. But I decided to put that picture of Dave Filoni's wife, the admitted witch. But anyway, let me, before I get into this business about Disney, we're going to talk about what Trump talked about. We're going to talk about the debate coming up. What do you think they'll do to get out of it? Do you think the debate will actually happen? How long do we have before the debates? Yeah, Ravens, it costs $32,000 an hour. What was she doing going back and forth so much? I did not know she was going back and forth as much as Mr. T said she was. Did you know she was going that much? Roland says not going to happen. When are the debates scheduled? Well, they're either going to have the debates or something that's going to come up to stop it. What are their options? Holy cow, I dread to think of it. Well, the least innocuous, and I don't want it to happen, but were to be if a state funeral. Remember we were told that state funerals, put the brakes on stuff? I don't know if we'd do it for the debate or overshadow the debate, but Jimmy Carter has been in hospice, according to reports, for 16 months, going on 17 months under hospice care. And reports were coming over the phone. Something his grandson had already said a couple of weeks ago, really almost a month ago, that there were days that President Carter was sleeping all day. And they put him out, at least on my phone, like it was new, an alarming thing. But, when they put him in hospice, the grandson said at the time, well over a year ago, that they thought he was in his final days. And he surprised everybody. And I've talked about how I've seen that happen in the past in my own relationships with people and famous cases like Art Buchwald. Holy cow, wait a minute, I got to notice. All right. Gary gets some booms. Gary went to buy me a coffee. I appreciate it. I don't ask for much. A thumbs up, like and share. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. But I've also got nice folks like Gary who stops by, buy me a coffee. I got a link in the description. Anybody wants to help the sport channel, and I appreciate everybody that's been helping out with the channel. Miss Minder Sue, and see who I've seen. Thank you, Gary. Miss Minder Sue, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, she's going to buy me a coffee too, and Lone Wolf has, Angela has. I've seen Tennessee stop by. All y'all, I appreciate it very much. But so would the death of a president delay the debates? Oh yeah, Carter would do a better job. He's very ill. He's very out of it. I don't believe that he's on ice. I think he's a tough old bird. But that doesn't mean somebody wouldn't help him along to stall the debates. Well, Lori, that's not a hard and fast rule about hospice. If you have any friends who work for hospice, I'm sure they'll tell you. Hospice is a lot of times it's what they call palliative. I have trouble pronouncing it. Palliative care is how it's spelled. Comfort, to give you comfort. You have a hard time dressing or eating or getting around. They're there for you. Keeping track of your medicine, actually taking your medicine. Elderly people can get very confused or, lose days. You'd be 96 years old and you're thinking it's Saturday and no, Grandpa, it's Tuesday. What happened to Sunday, Monday? That happens. So, so you read what Andrew said. Hit that like or Chris Christie will date your mama. Gary says there will be no debate. A cow pile going to hit the fan. Joey loses days now. I do too. I've gone all day long thinking I've been on these broadcasts and I won't be broadcasting tomorrow because I don't broadcast on Wednesdays and it's daggone Monday. I'm going, what? The next day would be Tuesday. I'm thinking gee, y'all see me do it. So we'll see. She was going back and forth for her stepson and back to diaper change. Her stepson, is her stepson over in Europe? Is he on trial? I swear I heard Trump use the word sit at trial when they go. But anyway, Trump really is easing this tax situation into the public consciousness. I've always wondered how in the world an amendment that would tax an American citizen from any source of income to any amount, how that type of an amendment would be compatible with the body of the Constitution. And in the past, we've discussed how that amendment was passed under very specious circumstances. Oh, Hunter was on trial. I thought he said they were going to Europe, but she was going to Delaware back and forth. Okay, so I guess I was right. I'd like to see him going to The Hague for trials, world court. That's right, jet lag. It's called the hamster wheel. And what Trump is doing is he's starting off with a segment of the population that typically doesn't vote for conservatives. A lone wolf said, I was a hospice nurse for 18 years and occasionally went to a year. Never went more than 14 months. Yeah, a continued decline with no prognosis for improvement. Not going to get any better. That was the key words that I've heard in the past. They're not going to get any better. And sometimes they stay at the level they're at for a sustained time. Oh, they were in Europe. She's going back and forth from there to Delaware. Wow. Okay, so I guess I heard right. Yeah, sissy, sorry for your loss. Yeah, IRS is going down. I've always thought that. In my past broadcasts, I've discussed Wilson and the 16th Amendment and the sneaky way that they got that amendment passed, and quotes from federal judges who said if anybody took a look at how that amendment was passed, they could see that it was not done in the constitutional way in the name of the judge. But that was on my phone that got blasted. I'm going to try to unblast it. I got to bypass a little chip or something. I got to take it apart. And it's one of these phones that wasn't designed to be taken apart. Sorry to hear that, sissy. You hang in there, honey. You hang in there to see what's coming that we've all been fighting for. That's what I thought, Angela. Doesn't Air Force One have to stay with the president? Well, Trump said Air Force One or Air Force Two. He said they're interchangeable. So apparently, Joe went on Air Force One and she went on Air Force Two. And when she would come back for Hunter, she would come back on Air Force Two. And they left Air Force One with Diaper Man. Diaper Man, that's what I'll start calling him. Yeah, it's becoming untenable, Andrew. But back to what I was saying, where Trump, the genius, and he is a genius. I don't give a damn what anybody says it. And I've gotten to the point with people that just constantly bash Trump. If you ever interacted with a brat kid that would say something annoying over and over again and stick their arms out and run around the room like they're an airplane flying and saying something annoying, that's the way you look at these people. I used to say 12-year-old mentality. Let's kick it down to 8 or 9-year-old mentality. They're just like brats prattling nonsense, running around like an airplane. Because if you look at them as adults, your instinct would be, of course, something you shouldn't do, which is backhand them. So if you look at them like some out of control brat who isn't capable of complicated thought, you just ignore them. So the airplane crowd aside, what Trump is doing is reaching out to a very large segment of the population, predominantly female, that are still working. They're too young to get benefits. They can't qualify for disability. They get some maybe some side money on child support or WIC if they have children. And they're in their politically formative years. So, you know, nobody wants to live in their car. Nobody wants to do without. So they get a job. It's not enough. It's not designed to be enough. That's the hardest hamster wheel to run on. But they still got to run on it. So they gravitate to these hollow promises of the liberals. Handouts, stimmy checks, and are like the little boy in Charles Dickens holding a bowl. May I have some more porridge? You know, to the liberals. And here you have Trump saying you keep your tips, you keep the sweat off your brow, the fruits of your labor. You keep it. Nobody should be taking any of it. And they realize how much it is. And when they look, if there's nothing else people are learning from what's happening to Trump in these third world communist trials, just like Trump says, if they can do it to him, they can do it to you. So if they said, oh my gosh, what if somebody saw where Mr. Jones gave me a $20 tip and I just put it in my apron pocket and I didn't write it down, I could go to jail. You know, everybody's got that worry. What if somebody points a finger at them? That's why I was so upset with that Eisen character. I had so much animus towards even his visage of him on the floor of the House, Congress, talking about Trump like he'd committed some kind of criminal act, and he was describing, like Harriet Hageman said, the most idiotic and ridiculous scenario. Well, it'll get can't get through the helicopter kids, the airplane kids running around, but these workers who are having a promise held out to them that they don't even, it's their business, whatever they got. You know, I've waited tables way back in the day. Many of you all either have or had friends that have. You got a little apron where you put your book, you put your pen, you pull your pad out, you take the order, you get your tips, you put them in your apron. That's your business. It's no longer a crime to keep the money you earned. And he pulled a real good one today. He said, when you tip somebody, and he showed it on the screen, he said, look where this guy wrote, vote for Trump and your tip won't be taxed. And he gave a good tip. He said, do that. Every time you go out to eat, do the same thing. There you go. There's millions of campaign handouts that are going to be done. Grassroots that are going to get people thinking. Because at the end of the night, you know, there's nothing more damn miserable. Like I told you, I had a restaurant, and 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, everybody's feet are burning up. You've been busting your tail, and you got to write down all your tips so you can tell these Bolshevik bureaucrats how much you earned so they can get their damn cut while they're home in a fart sack. There's nothing more miserable. But if Trump gets his way, it's nobody's business but yours what's in your apron. Genius. And let me tell you, another thing. People that write that little message or a similar message are going to let service workers know who's a conservative. Most of them, you probably don't have to tell them this. But the bottom line is, now, and it has always been this way, conservatives always tip better than a liberal. I had people that lived nearby that worked for the government. Affluent, nose in the air crowd. Worked for the government. That was their claim to fame. That was what justified their nose to be in the air. And they wouldn't tip worth a fart. They didn't exert themselves. They had the best vacation days, the best health care, the fattest paychecks, every holiday off, flexible work hours, plenty of money. And they were cheapskates when it came to tips. Matter of fact, I'd have a table and all your creamers would get stolen. You know, the kind of creamers you peel the lid off of? They were expensive, you know, not like powder creamer. Or bring a little silver pitcher with cream in it to the table. The separate creamers. Take every one of them, especially if they were flavored. All your Splendas, put them in their purse, put them in their pocket, whatever. Liberals, hardly any tip, and your table cleaned out of condiments. And I'm not exaggerating. And they already got the best of everything. And you're the slob trying to make a buck. And that really got under your skin at 1 o'clock in the morning when you're trying to figure out how much you got to report to support this bunch. So there's going to be some upheaval. Trump is going to do a DC takeover. He's been saying it for the last 6 months. There's going to be a federal takeover of DC. DC is not going to be the Magic Kingdom anymore. Yeah, some people are saying, well, you shouldn't keep the FBI building there. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. Then you had some people saying, well, they got to tear down all the buildings because they're too satanically infested. And I wouldn't doubt that it'll come have an exorcism, but they're not going to tear down historic landmarks and stuff like that. But the bureaucracy is going to be gutted. Starting with education. That bunch of heathens are going to go by the wayside. But that guy Eisen, he is a perfect example. He's getting paid since 2016 to do nothing but connive and contort and twist and slander and libel and undermine, engage in subterfuge. And he's getting a big fat government paycheck to do what? Engage in illegal psychological warfare campaigns to disenfranchise tens of millions of voters. That's what that's his bread and butter. And then look down his nose at everybody. Eisen. He is the poster boy. You think of all the turmoil, all the discord, all the tumult in the body politic. And I mentioned that term a long time ago, and I said it was used a lot by our founding fathers. And you had Bill Barr bring that same term up, the body politic. These people are disrupting the body politic in such a way as to undermine a duly elected government and to interfere with the lawful operations of a presidential administration. So I'm going to love it when his day comes. I hope I live to see it. And that's why I was saying, Sissy, you know, hang in there. We got to hang in there as best we can, take care of ourselves and our friends. And you know you got friends here. Hi, Richard. Hi, Dixie. That's right, Miss Bender Sue. Give them some cash. I've done that on a credit card. I would put $1. And then when they came, I would say, make sure you get your dollar off the credit card. Here, keep this to yourself. I'd say, give this to your grandkids. I'm not giving it to you. You don't got to report it on taxes because I'm telling you to give it to your grandkids. Ha, 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 ha. Little 20-year-old girl would laugh. I'd say, give it to your grandkids. And guess what? Tips would go up, at least for me. If I knew that people like Eisen weren't suckling on the teat and getting my money, I would tip more. Not only are they going to net more, but their tips are going to go up. Oh, really, Ravens? Health insurance? Well, it depends on how Mr. T redoes the health insurance. It's going to go into a private, more private competition than this government boondoggle that it is now. I don't know about that, Roland. Putin take out the satanic buildings. Well, our response is there's a nuclear sub was sent down to GlTMO. And I spelled that in my thumbnail, G lowercase l to look like an I, TMO. And that way they won't intercept my video if I had to put the real word in. School reform and prison reform. I mean, we've got to weed the garden. We got to weed the garden, especially with schools and prisons. We got people taking advantage of other people. Well, we'll weed the garden, get them out. And quick trials are going to be applying to more than drug dealers. We got to get ready for that. You know, if it's undoubtedly a heinous crime. I was watching where this one guy is supposed to go to his punishment. I'll put it that way. Sometime this month, because I told you about the YouTube where I watched called Paco Rivera. His it's not in his title or anything. It's called what's it called? I think it's just called Death Row Executions. And he'll put up there, you know, who's in what state scheduled to get it. The last guy he had been sitting around since he committed the crime, 40 plus years. +40 years. That may be the way they do it. Have Putin take him out? I don't know. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Dixie. I'm doing well. You got to clean a rabbit and a squirrel. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen people steal tips. Yeah, that's the triumvirate right there, Gary. Putin, Xi, and Mr. T. And there was an article from Midas Trash Network bragging about they're looking into taking Mr. T's right to carry a firearm away because of his 33 felony convictions. And, you know, even if it's a very good friend, somebody throws that up in my face because they have them rehearsed, you know. They have them all rehearsed about the Trump University, about the Trump Charitable Foundation that they went after, about E. Jean Carroll, about the Letitia James case, and now these 33 felonies. They read them all off to where somebody's on the hamster wheel and not paying attention, doesn't know the details. They would think Trump, they'd be saying to themselves, how in the world is this man walking free? But people that aren't on a hamster wheel talking that crap, I would tell them to their face. I'd just say, you're like a kid. You think like a child, either that or you just have a mean streak in you. It's very unbecoming. And if you don't know what you're talking about, please don't talk to me about it. That's a good way to put it. If you don't know what you're talking about, please don't talk to me about it, because you don't know what you're talking about. So this business with what's going on in Disney, I talked about 6 months ago, where there was upheaval with this Bob Eisner is his name. Trump even mentioned him. Elon Musk told him to go F himself. Okay? You could tell something was going on. DeSantis was setting down new parameters for Disney in Florida. And they had this internal investigation. These investigators, the employees, nicknamed the Nazgul. Like in the Lord of the Rings movie, the dark, they rode black horses and were trying to get the ring from Frodo, and they were kings that were turned into these creepy 7 horsemen or whatever. So that's what these people felt like, because they would come into the department, you know, not saying anything to anybody, and they had total authority to look in any computer, to look at any bank account, to look at any transactions, cash transactions. There was a serious internal investigation into the finances of these Disney projects. Lucasfilm. So, Gina Carraro, or whatever her name is, Carano, heterosexual, attractive lady, had a role in one of the projects they were doing, and it was doing very well. All the projects that were being done by purple-haired, dysphoric weirdos were getting terrible ratings and making a mockery of things. Well, the audience reactions to this Gina Carano, were really good. Well, before Elon bought Twitter, Gina Carano put up a tweet, and it showed a black and white photo of little boys dressed up in Adolf youth, namely Hitler youth, outfits, chasing a woman throwing rocks at her from the 1930s. Historic photo. And she said, this is what happens when you turn the young people against the older generation. And they took her post down, and she tried to defend herself. I mean, she was just saying, hey, I'm just telling you like it is. You can't have this kind of political discord and teaching children things that are, hostile and whatever. So they fired her, even though she was one of the better performers as far as her acting and her box office or Netflix views or whatever you want to call it. Now she's got a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. Well, they had their first little day in court where Disney tried to have her case thrown out, and the judge refused. There's a lot of videos going around about it. It's a big victory for the little person going up against a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Other lawsuits are going to follow. I'm sure Disney felt it was a slam dunk that they get rid of her as a nuisance. It was announced today that insiders were saying they were going to offer her a settlement, probably in the tens of millions, if not more, 20 million, whatever. And she put out a statement, under no circumstances would she have a settlement, because this is a matter of principle. That word scares the hell out of them. So we'll be seeing that, and we'll be getting some discovery. We're going to learn more about the inner workings of this industry that has been taken over, according to some people, for the past 100 years. When they got firmly entrenched at Lucasfilm, it was much sooner than that. But we had stars say Hollywood, the term comes from the type of wood a witch uses for her wand. Hollywood, a branch from a holly tree. I never knew that. And I never stopped and thought, what does Hollywood mean? Where'd that term come from? Now I know if what he's saying is true. I've heard of birchwood, oakwood, never Hollywood. You just always thought Hollywood was a town where the beautiful people were. So now this disaster comes out, and called the Acolytes. It's supposed to be a continuation of the Star Wars saga started by George Lucas. And it's been being talked about for over a year. And Trump brought up Nelson Peltz's name. He brought up, I Perlmutter. And he said they were in an interesting position as far as their investments with Disney. Well, it turns out they had up investment groups that controlled over $3 billion worth of Disney shares. Well, they sold out their shares suddenly after they had gone months and months. And some say that's why the Nazgul was set loose, because Peltz and Perlmutter were thinking of taking over the Disney board. A hostile takeover. Lucasfilm was definitely on the target list. Well, out of the blue, they said, well, these reports that have been coming out for a year on this Acolyte project, we feel is disastrous. We're here to entertain, not push a message. That's not what they said when they sold, but that's what they've been saying for months and months. So before this thing got released, both those investors backed out and dumped their stock. They said, congratulations, you're the big winner. And they sold their stock when it was up, I don't know how much, 140 a share, maybe $130 a share. They unloaded it. And the people that invest with their investment group are very happy. Because, as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, today it dropped below $100 for the first time in God knows how long. I've got graphs in my phone, but I don't want to jump into the other studio to look it up. But it was $98 and some cents a share. Who knows what it is right now? You know, somebody's got a computer and can continue watching. Hi, Sasha. How you doing? And could look it up and see what it is. Holy cow, Richard. Thank you for stopping by. Buy me a coffee. I appreciate it. And I believe this is Mike and Bev. Well, Mike and Bev, I know I'm on TV. I'm on the big screen at their house. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Mike and Bev. Boom, boom, boom. I say. So I'll see if anybody puts in what the share is for Disney. 99.89, Diane says. So it's still under 100. It's going to be hard to recover from that. But here is the stuff that was coming out today. The younger generation paying attention to this stuff haven't gotten into the nuts and bolts till this disaster. It is such a horrible show. It is so insulting. Now they're coming out with the numbers. They gave you a boom. They're coming out with the numbers. And they're starting to look at the numbers. They're not looking at it like, oh, who can put up the coolest space battle or design the coolest outfit and new type of lightsaber or what? They're going, wait a minute. What is going on with this situation? For this series, it's 8 shows. I'm not a fan. I don't watch the stuff. I am looking at it from the financial impact, which is going to have a ripple effect across the entire entertainment industry. And I think it's going to shake the stock market as a whole because of the sheer size of Disney. And if there are people charged with willfully violating their fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders or convicted of money laundering, all right? Andy No put out a very interesting thing that I'll put up next time I do a picture show because I can't retain all the numbers and whatnot in my head. of a NGO that has over $1 billion salted away. And we all know who NGOs are with. But anyway, these eight shows, they're a half an hour long a piece, I believe, roughly. That's on Netflix. Cost between $180 and $190 million for 8 shows. Between $22 and $23 million for a half-hour production. So here are all these, I call them kids, dozens of them, doing their YouTube videos. And instead of, saying, gee, I wish the show would have been better, as far as the message of who wants to love who, that's a person's choice. I wish the ship would have been cooler, or, instead of talking about that kind of crap, these same youngins are starting to go, how in the hell is this company surviving? Where is this money going? Who's behind this? You're seeing terms being used in titles perverted. You're seeing the term demonic. You're seeing the term satanic. One guy did a show where he showed symbols in, I think, the second installment. They've had 3 installments. They got 5 left. And the fan base is unbelievable. They can't believe what they're seeing. This witches' coven, instead of Jedi fighting the Sith and good versus evil, no, you have a witches' coven that created life through. You can't call it an immaculate conception with an evil notion. A degenerate conception, right? That's what I'm going to call it instead of immaculate conception. A degenerate conception of life, because they don't need no man, because they're witches. You see, they're a coven. This is, I guess, what kids are supposed to, get a kind of Harry Potter-esque interest in and emulate. Remember when the kids all kind of, the boys wanted to look like Harry Potter and the girls wanted to look like Hermione, or however you pronounce her name. They wanted to be like these dark beings chanting, and they have a ceremony with these 2 little girls where they're undulating, and I won't use some of the terms used to describe their behaviors. But a lot of videos call it lesbian witches from space, It's the new Star Wars, and it sucks, it stinks, you name it. But now a lot of them are going, how in the world could they spend that kind of money? Almost $200 million. There was a movie that came out that was a hit. All the garbage they've been putting out and losing money. And we've asked in the past, how can the company survive? Who is financing this destruction of our culture? The movie that came out was a hit. It was called Godzilla Plus One, I believe, or 1.0 or something like that. And you figure, at our age, how many Godzilla movies have we seen? It's still, back when in the day, it was kind of cool to watch a Godzilla movie. And then they did some remakes in the 90s, I think, or early 2000s with a high-tech, stuff. So they put one out a month or, I don't know, 3 months ago or something. And people loved it, And it was, I guess, the same storyline. I never could figure out a Godzilla movie except Mothra needed to be destroyed, or what King Kong, or what whoever Godzilla was fighting. I didn't know they was a nuclear lizard, So I guess it's the same storyline. And made a bunch of money. And it cost less. That movie cost less than one episode from this disaster, the degenerate conception show called The Acolyte. One show, Godzilla cost around 20 million. Acolyte was 22 to 23 million per episode. So now people are going, where's this money going? Now, I remember a half a year ago about the Nazguls, about the internal investigations, and I was bringing up then that there was something rotten in Denmark, and companies were being fleeced, and that people were violating their fiduciary responsibilities to their investors to support DEI. Then, if you all remember a broadcast I did, I was talking about how a board meeting, a meeting of executives with Bob Eisner, or whatever his name is, Kathleen Kennedy, a bunch of other executive bigwigs were having a knockdown, drag-out fight over Star Wars, Lucasfilms. And Kathleen Kennedy said to them, it's your fault. You're the ones who signed up to obey these DEI directives. Diversity, equity, inclusion. You're the ones that contracted to go down that road. Don't blame me. And I said, holy cow. You didn't hear that reported anywhere else. And then I thought to myself, well, maybe Kathleen Kennedy is working for the white brims, the white hats. And she might not be the best person in the world, but maybe she's documenting all that. Who are these people with the black stone, okay, company? Black and then rock, right? And the other companies we know about that are getting into New York, buying up all the residential properties after the governors creates such a situation that the real estate prices plunge, where landlords have to declare bankruptcy and walk away from properties because they put a moratorium on leases using a phony plan. And then, the other word is demic. All tied together like worms in a clump of dirt. And we were told that they would collapse under the weight of their own illegality. Is that what we're seeing? Well, I haven't been paying attention to the chats. So we're going to keep an eye on this. Gina Carano. Let's hope she gets a settlement at the scale of what's his name? Or at least what Rudy Giuliani got to $100 and some million because of Fannie, or whatever her name was, not Fannie, but Ruby Freeman. And that's going to be just the start. So that's why I put on the thumbnail this woman holding a cup of coffee that says, "Drink coffee, hail Satan," on one picture. And then next to that, she's wearing a t-shirt that says, "Abortion is healthcare." That is the admitted witch. She says she was part of a coven, and she's married to this Dave Filoni guy who is part of this Lucasfilm mess. And then next to that, I got a picture of Joe and the Pope, and Joe's bending down, touching foreheads with the Pope. But Federal judge orders liquidation of Alex Jones's personal assets. That was in the news today. Alex Jones, almost $1 billion over videos that this platform, you and then Tizzle, erased the videos. He can't even play them in his defense because they're gone. But they say the memory of the videos was so upsetting that he owed these people over $1 billion. I'm just looking through the chats. That's right. God wins. Oh, my goodness. Diane. Oh, yeah, they're going to tax people's eyeballs out of their head. They're thinking of every way to make it inconvenient or dangerous for you to own a firearm. So, yeah, Gary, yeah, they're right. Get out. People are going to run out and buy them before July 1st. How you doing, Astro? So anyway, you heard Mr. T talk about crypto, protecting crypto. In the past, he said he didn't want to see crypto overtake the dollar. And he's not contradicting himself. He says he's going to protect crypto. And that's fine because, and I've talked about in the past that don't get too crazy on crypto because it's all going to be leveled off and backed by the dollar because the dollar is going to go to gold. Well, it's even better than that. Why do people want to get involved in crypto? What makes crypto so valuable? Something you can't touch, you can't hold in your hand, you can't carry in your pocket. You need to have an electronic device to do anything with it. Why is it so valuable? It's intangible. It's intangible. Raven said demand. It's hyped to have all the nefarious money go into Bitcoin before it crashes. That's a good notion. Yeah. Does anybody else say what is so attractive about Bitcoin? Why do people want it? And then I'll tell you what my thoughts are. What is the value of crypto? That's right, Astro. It said aspartame was good. You know who was behind aspartame? I think I'm right about this. Aspartame, one of the major investors was Donald Rumsfeld. I read his biography. He had a chapter in there called Sweet Success. And I think that's when they developed aspartame. Not Splenda. There's a difference. There you go. I see it. Pretty much what I am thinking. Because it's out of government control, Roland says. Sissy says untraceable. Yeah. You know why that will not be an advantage of crypto anymore? It's a good advantage to keep the government out of your business. But guess what is going to be out of their business also? Bill says private transactions. Yeah. What Trump is prepping people for is to get rid of the IRS and get rid of the Fed. That's always been on the books, but it sounded too much of a upheaval to bring it up in 2016. That's right, Araceli. It's not regulated. Now Trump is easing the notion into the American psyche of no taxes. You don't have to report. You don't have a anvil hanging over your head that they can drop on your skull anytime they want if they think you didn't tell them about selling your golf clubs on eBay. It won't be any of their business. This business of the guy who sounded like he's a tech for Microsoft on the phone from Bombay, India, saying, yeah, I work for the Justice Department, and we look at people's bank accounts all the time. I work for the IRS too. That stuff's going to be disallowed. That's what I was saying about bringing people over for IT jobs, giving them citizenship. They could be very good people, good-hearted people, but they don't understand the concepts of the Constitution. They don't understand the concepts of freedom. And they'll go along with it, sticking their nose in your private bank account, which is without a warrant, which is against the law. Where does it end? Looking at your text messages, listening on your phone conversations. I'm doing what I'm told to do because they haven't been taught how our system of government and law enforcement is supposed to be. You have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Not with a comma and after it says, as much as we want you to have. As much happiness as we think is enough. We're going to get rid of that unspoken add-on, which is what the amendment that allows taxation, I think it's the 16th, I have to check. You have the right to pursue happiness as much as they'll let you with that amendment, which is BS. That's going to be gone. So crypto will be handy for doing transactions with other people that have crypto wallet or whatever, overseas, cross country, whatever. But eventually, once cash is backed by gold, and there isn't this head hunting for people to be shoveling money into this bureaucracy willy-nilly, it's going to level off. It's going to be the same thing. I mean, if you got Zelle, Zell, and you have another friend that has Zelle, you could transfer money in your private bank accounts, and it's not crypto. Supposedly, they can't look at it without a warrant, but they're doing it. They're looking at it. It's got to happen, and I'll tell you why. The next thing they're working on is a so-called wealth tax. If you buy a piece of property and they assess it $100,000 more than what you paid for it, they're going to claim you owe whatever the tax rate is on that 100,000. We want it now. Because theoretically, you made 100,000 when you bought that property for 200, and now it's worth 300. We want our money now. That is one of the proposals Biden put forth. The Biden administration, the Biden puppet put forth. If you buy stock, say you bought Disney at $98, $99 a share, and it jumped to $140, they would want their money now. Oh, sounds crazy? Well, how about when the old man died and he left people his business? No, not cash. He left them the farm. They called it the death tax. Was in place for decades. People had to sell their farms. Because a lot of times farms operate in the red till harvest time. Kids get the farm and they say, oh, this farm, the land that's full of cow crap and mosquitoes and isn't worth a damn until you churn it up and put seeds in the ground and then go out and harvest. But anyway, that land your old man left you, it's worth $1 million. So you got to pay taxes on that. It's just like if your old man left you $1 million cash, we get $333,000 out of it. Because we need it, because Ukraine needs it. Because the children need it. Because we got to do transitions for 12-year-olds. That's why. That's expensive. Because they need a lifetime of medication afterwards and counseling. Now I'm going off the rails, but no, I'm not going off the rails. I'm right on the rails. But Trump did away with that. So all that crap that I just talked about, I'm hoping they march doctors off to jail, whoever took a scalpel to a healthy underage person, I hope goes to jail for the rest of their damn lives. And I hope everybody, like that Eisen character, has to sit and eat his 1,600 calories a day, no more, no less, just like the Geneva Convention says, for prisoners of war. I hope he gets a 10 or 20-year sentence in a military prison, him and everybody of his ilk, for what he did to this country, not just Donald Trump himself, because he was doing it to all of us. It's not retribution, it's not revenge, it's justice. So I hope we get rid of this dysphoric, false economy called bureaucracy, starting with the education branch of government, get rid of it and turn back to the states. And how many times have they broken the law in the name of science? It ain't good enough reason just because somebody calls themselves a scientist, or a scientist is actually bribed to pay it off, or gets a cushy job and then starts prattling about all this dysphoric gender crap. Taking a scalpel to a healthy young human being is experimentation, and I want justice. We want justice. We want a big event, and we want to see all these things happen. Quick trials are not going to be just for drug dealers. I'll put it that way. There's enough horrific crimes that have happened during this uh, national nightmare. So anyway, yeah, Astro, dollar store is now the $3 store and $5. They got $3 items, $5 items, and all the items that were a dollar are smaller, like the detergent jugs are smaller, not even filled up to the top. That's right, Gary. They raised the property value. Oh, guess what? Your property went up $100,000. Don't you feel good now? Here's your bill. Here's your bill. Instead of once a year, you're going to pay it twice a year. You got to worry about with us 2 times a year. And if you don't, we stick a 10% tax and interest on top of it. We penalize you out of house and home. Well, maybe we'll just won't do it for people's personal homes, just businesses and second homes. Oh, that's fair. It's a confiscatory system. It's designed to punish and confiscate, just like communism. Well, sissy, your taxes going $400 a year. They're nothing but local criminals. Local criminals. And I'm going to get into my next broadcast or one of my next broadcasts. I'm going to get into Trump's talking about exploring for oil. Alaska, and Gary knows this, probably other people know it too. People get a stipend, okay? Residents of that state, they get to share in the resources that are sold from the state that they're native to, they live in. Well, it should be the same everywhere else. And then you'll see how quick people will want to drill, baby, drill. And it should be that way. Instead of this hegemony of politicians and oligarchs using up all the resources and property owners paying out of their backside to just live in their own home. But I'll talk about that some more in the future. Oh my God. Yeah. You got a 12-year-old car and they're coming around knocking on the door, where's money? Pay me for your car. It is disgusting. We had a local council member. He stuck up for the car tax. I used to like him. Not anymore. Just a piece of you know what. Well, it's coming, folks. It's coming. We just got to be tough. We got to hang in there. We didn't come all this way for nothing. We stay on the high road. We don't give them any excuses. And we make it too big to rig. So, there'll be no way they can hide the theft. They will steal it. They will claim whatever the hell it takes because they're not letting go. Because people like that guy Eisen, all right, and these doctors I've been talking about, and these politicians that they find gold bars in their houses tucked away, and Jerry Nadler, all right, running around diapers on and messing around with kids, and they're all going to be sunk, and they are going to do whatever it takes to stay in power. But we're going to be like a millstone, grinding, and we're going to separate the wheat from the chaff, just like a millstone. All right, folks. Well, I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me. And thank you, Gary, so much, and Bev and Mike, and Richard, so much for sponsoring tonight's program. I do appreciate it. Miss Minder Sue for helping out the other night. I just want to make sure I didn't have a gosh, I have stories from over in the Putin. Putin is well, we'll talk about it Sunday or Monday night. Miss Minder Sue helped out, and Lone Wolf helped out. I do appreciate it. But Putin put forth a peace plan. We'll talk about that in future broadcasts. Things are coming to a head. It's coming to a head, folks. We got a lot of hardware floating around, and a lot of saber rattling going on. So we'll see which way this goes. But you all have a great night. Thank you for spending your precious time with me. I'll be seeing you real soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.